Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Holderhek channel. With this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go over my raid frames, my unit frames, and various other weak auras I use, because pretty much every time I stream, I get asked the question of like, what are your raid frames? What are your unit frames? What are those weak auras? What do the lines on your swing timer mean? And here we go. Here's the video for you. I'm also gonna go over briefly like some of the macros I use, but a lot of my macros, they're really not like super complex or anything. I'm not that big brain when it comes to macros, but I will tell you guys exactly what they are so you can use them, and let's go. So the first thing I get asked all the time is what my raid frames and unit frames are. Because a lot of the time when I'm streaming, I'm in a raid, and I actually have this cool like Zoom call looking thing going on over here. I'll pull up a picture of that so you can see what I'm talking about, because I'm not currently in a raid, but it looks really cool and a lot of people like it. So what I'm using is just LVUI, guys. It's just LVUI, okay? LVUI. And then with LVUI, on top of it, I have the Benic UI overlay. So, or edit, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to put the download links for this thing in the description below, so you'll be able to get it and use it. I haven't really modified anything all that much. I've tweaked a couple little things and added some colors here and there, but it's nothing that you can't do yourself with a few clicks of the mouse, and it doesn't really require anything all that technical. So you can get your UI looking pretty much exactly like mine in probably like 30 minutes, if you so desire. So remember, it's LVUI, and then on top of LVUI is the Benic UI LVUI edit, the classic version. Again, the downloads for those things will be below. Big shout out to the Chad Hansment Discord for all the great minds and creators that we have gathered. Most of these weak auras are in-house created by fellow Chads. So thank you guys. You are all fantastic, and you are doing God's work. So let's just go right down the list. You can see I use quite a few weak auras, right? Some of them have really nothing to do with doing damage or anything, and some of them are pretty intertwined with doing damage. So the first one's just avoid lava damage. This was really useful a couple of phases ago, but it helps you not die when you're jumping in lava. So you jump right around this mark here over and over and over again, and then you don't get hurt when you're in lava. This weak aura, let's see, are they all working? This weak aura right here, you see this Bladestorm one. Perhaps I have to update it or something, but anyway, it just lets me know when my Ravager is going off, so I can make sure not to use any abilities that will make it stop spinning and winning. Then the next weak aura we have over here is going to be the buff consumable overview. For some reason, it's not popping up. There it is. I think I have to turn on my character sheet. But it basically lets me know, here's all the buffs in the game. And it lets me know which ones I'm currently running. And I believe it also lets me know if I'm over the buff limit. And if it doesn't, I mean, it would be pretty obvious to know when you're over the buff limit, when literally all of these things are lit up. The next one I use is going to be the buff bars right here. This thing, what I try to do when I'm DPSing is I will try to chain all of these together as much as possible. So if I get a Crusader and an ED proc, that's when I'm going to pop Blood Fury, and Flurry's pretty much up all the time. I don't have to worry about that being up, but we try to get together Crusader, ED, and Blood Fury, and that's when I would use, you know, my Badge of the Swarm Guard or various other on-use trinkets to try to maximize the RNG of the class. Then we're going to go Grounding Text. So this does a really, really cool thing, and it's actually very nice for my PvP videos. it will tell you what grounding totem has grounded. So if I ground a Pyroblast, it'll say grounded Pyroblast. If I ground a sheep, it'll say ground Polymorph. It's actually super cool. The mana per 5 seconds, you see I've overlaid that on top of my mana bar down here. It allows me to do run drinking if I do so desire, and it also lets me know when my 5 seconds of mana use has been over, so I can begin to regen mana from just MP5 or Spirit or whatever. Shaman buffs here. This thing is kind of a redundant weak aura, but I use it for 2 things, mainly to tell when I have Lightning Shield on, and it also lets me know how many charges of Storm Strike I have left. It'll also tell you if there's a Nightfall debuff. There's a million different buffs this thing tracks, but like I said, the main 2 I worry about are here, and they just kind of end up hanging out right here in the middle of my screen. Weapon Imbue, this thing's fantastic. I don't know about you, but it's somewhat troublesome to constantly buff your weapon every 5 minutes, so this thing will let you know whether or not you have a imbue on your weapon. So if you don't, it just sits there directly in front of your face, telling you that you do not have it imbued, and you should, you know, perhaps fix that. Now, the fantastic creation of Taz, and I believe several other people in the Discord have all worked on this thing. It is a fantastic swing timer, and it allows us to do our Rock Fury imbue weaving. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a little, you know, thingy up here. You can click that later. But basically, it allows us to have Rock Biter and Windfury on our weapon at the same time, thus maximizing our bonks. And everybody always asks me, what are these little ticks, right? So you have 2 here and 2 here, and this is just the default. These move depending on your weapon speed and whether or not you have flurry up. And essentially what you're going to want to try to do is you're going to want to get your first imbue weave. So you want to get Rock Biter in between these right here, and then there's going to be some dead space. And then you're going to want to get Windfury in between these 2 right here. And then at the very, very end of the swing timer, you're going to get your Rock Fury. Now remember, these move depending on your weapon speed and whether or not you have flurry up, so you have to be a little bit more dynamic with paying attention to it. There really isn't a rhythm. It changes. There's a rhythm with every weapon, but there's not a universal rhythm. So it's something you have to get good at using. Additionally, they added a color scheme to the edge. So if you have Rock Biter imbued, I believe it turns green. And if you have Windfury imbued, I believe it turns gray. Probably turns red if you have Flame Tongue or whatever. But I've added another little symbol over here to make it a little bit easier for me to see, but it also has that functionality built in. Now, the next one here, this one is Totems with a range checker. It's not doing anything right now, but it'll let me know what earth, wind, water, fire totems I have dropped, and it'll gray out whether or not I'm in range of them. So it's actually a really great weak aura. And this is just a totem twisting weak aura that just basically lets me know whenever I drop Windfury, it counts down 9 seconds, and then it basically lets me know to drop Windfury again over and over and over and over and over again when I'm feeling generous and totem twisting. And then right here, so this weapon imbue, so I use that in conjunction with my swing timer. It'll let me know. It gives me a little graphic. I know a lot of these are question marks right now because they don't activate until I'm in combat, so it's a little goofy. But this will be like the Windfury weapon symbol, or the Rock Biter weapon symbol, or the Flame Tongue weapon symbol, for example. And it just helps me visually to know what the hell imbue I have on my weapon, especially when I'm in the middle of combat and I have to, pay attention to that. Oh, man. One of my shaman buddies got a Dark Edge. Let's congratulate him, guys. He's going to be in the next video. What an absolute Chad. What an absolute Chad. And then, finally, the last couple of ones that we're going to go over, armor debuffs. As I said in my last video about Badge of the Swarm Guard, you're probably never getting a boss to 0 armor. These are all the armor debuffs in the game. So you're going to want to see these things all lit up. Potentially not Annihilator. But you're going to want to see these things lit up, or most of them lit up, for you to be doing the most amount of physical damage. This thing loads in a raid. It's very, very useful. This is just stomach sync. I believe Deadly Boss Mods does something exactly like this, so this may be redundant, but this just lets me know what the tentacle health is in Carl's stomach, so we can make sure to kill those tentacles at the same time. And I believe this one is a massive, ridiculous add-on that lets me know what the Anubisaths are doing in AQ, as well as like some other bosses, but honestly, like, I'm probably gonna get rid of that one, TBH. Okay guys, the last thing we're gonna go over here is gonna be my personal macros. There's not too much to go over. I have a lot of these and I just had to clean them up because there's like a ton that were redundant. But let's just go right down the list. This one I have to play a sound when I use my Blood Fury. So something most people don't know, but you can actually go into the sound files in the game, and every sound in the game has a number associated with it. You can look this all up on Wowhead. So when I use my Blood Fury, it plays the sound of Osirian the Unscarred from AQ20 saying, "You are terminated." I think it's funny, whatever. So, and then I also have to use the knack at the same time, but that's just something I do in PvP. If you don't have that thing equipped, it won't do anything. This is a macro that I created simply to cancel the Blade Storm from the Ravager in case I need to do anything, but it's not really that important because I think you can just drop a totem and it'll break the Blade Storm. This is a macro I created to make Disease Cleanse and Poison Cleanse one button. So just press it once, it cures poison, then you press whatever button with shift held, it'll cure disease. It works pretty well, but honestly, I have disease and poison on Z and C, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't really use it. This is my PvP Elemental Mastery macro, so it uses whatever trinket I have in my top trinket slot, casts EM, and then begins casting Chain Lightning, so it's my delete somebody macro. This is my macro that I use to equip my various helmets and engineering stuff. So I press it once, it gives me a rocket helmet. I press it with shift, I get my Catseye goggles. I press it with control, it gives me Gnomish Mind Control. I press it with alt, it goes back to Crown of Destruction, although I should change that to Sky Fury since I really only use this in PvP. Rank, it's just my start attack macro with Earthshock. This is a macro I created to just kind of help on the Cthulhu fight. Because of Cthulhu's hitbox, it actually makes it difficult to target the eyes as they spawn behind you when you're fighting Cthulhu. So I have that macro so it'll immediately target one of the eyes, and then I can, 360 no scope it. This is a cast sequence for fire resistance, so it's just Windfury and fire resistance in a cast sequence. If you don't know, you can / cast sequence and then put in specific totems and specific ranks with a comma, and then it'll cast them all at the same time. Like, for example, this macro right here. This is a cast sequence that just casts these 3 totems. Well, I guess it's 2. I must have changed it. But anyway, it's a cast sequence macro. It's pretty great. This is just start attack for Flame Shock, rank 1 Frost Shock, rank 3 Frost Shock, rank 4 Frost Shock, rank 1 Flame Shock. This is a macro to use my helmet, so I would equip this, right? So I put on my rocket helmet with that macro, and then this macro I have bound to a button on my keyboard, or not my keyboard, my mouse, and it runs at the person. It's specifically useful for Goblin Rocket Helmet because you don't want to hit the person immediately after using the rocket helmet, so I just put in a stop attack in there at the same time. This is my imbue weaving macro, so start attack, cast sequence, rockbiter rank 7, then Windfury rank 4. That's going to allow us to imbue weave, and then you can see, like I mentioned earlier, you see the bar changes color and this symbol changes what it is. This is the same thing except for Flame Tongue. I really only used that to demonstrate on a video. This is a twisting macro for, again, totem twisting. It has a timer built in, so it will keep dropping Grace of Air until that timer runs down. And then when that timer runs down, it should, yep, there we go. It casts Windfury again. Fantastic. Anything else in here super useful? Rank 1 Earthshock, not going to talk about that one. We have the Rogue cast sequence, so whenever I'm out farming in the real world, in the open world, it just Stone Skin, Grace of Air, Poison Cleansing gives you the best chance against rogues. This is my start attack, stop casting macro, so let's say I need to stop casting in a PvP, like I want to juke somebody. I just go here and then boop, stop casting, whoop, stop casting, whoop, 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 stop casting. And it also has the added benefit of having start attack in there too, so I'll bonk the guy in the head and stop casting. It works pretty well to juke people. That was a macro I made for my rogue. This is just a tanking cast sequence, so Stone Skin, Grace of Air, Healing Stream. This is just utilizing my trinket, so use 13. That lets me, whoop, use my little tentacle friend there. And what's the last one? I think that's just a Viscidus cast sequence. So that, my friends, is going to be it for the unit frames, raid frames, weak auras, and macros video. Everybody say hi to Enot. He's a buddy. I think he's AFK, so we're just going to stand here and stare at him for a while. But that's going to be it for the video, everybody. I'm probably going to reference this in my Twitch stream whenever anybody asks, because I know when people ask a simple question, what they really want is to be linked to a 17-minute long video, or at least that's how much footage I have right now. I have 17 minutes of footage, so I'm sure other than just answering a simple question, it's gonna be really great. And people are like, what are your raid frames? And I'm like, well, here's a 17-minute long video. I hope that's what you wanted. Oh man, it's definitely not what people wanted. But whatever, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it was informative. Yeah, it's fun to be making videos again. You guys follow me on Twitch, subscribe on the YouTube. I will see you soon, and bye-bye.